Let's go ahead and get started, guys. Welcome to our weekly outlook for the week of November 26th. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm really excited to share some setups with you. If you guys can see on the right of my screen, anything that I have marked off in orange here, I'm going to be going over. I promise by the end of this webinar, you are going to have a completely clear understanding of what direction I'm looking for trading, even some individual price targets, where I'm looking at entering some of these pairs at. But everything in orange, I'm very excited to go over, and we're going to be going over all of that in just a moment. Before we do that, we're also going to be looking at the economic calendar in just a moment here, some things to just be aware of for the week, but I just want to give you guys some general announcements for positive traders. My lifetime membership is on sale right now. We're doing a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal, so my lifetime membership is $150 off. This is the lowest price my lifetime membership will ever be until it goes away, and it's actually going away on December 1st. So for a few more days here, it's going to be $150 off, and then on December 1st, in less than a week here, the lifetime membership is done, and we're going to be changing our pricing, and things are going to be getting a lot more expensive. With that, also, with the lifetime membership being removed, we're also taking away the 0% profit share trade copier, okay? So pretty valuable stuff inside of there. That's the reason we're getting rid of it, okay? Also, on December 1st, my course is almost done, guys. We are getting to the end of this. I'm getting to the end of my 70 lessons. So this course, as of right now, is 74 lessons long. I might find another thing or two to do with it, but 74 videos, guys, that I have created over the past month for you guys. As a way to take anybody that is a beginner all the way from the beginning A's all the way to the advanced Z's. So literally A to Z, and there's no fluff inside of it. It's nothing but value, okay? So those are the announcements, and if you guys are here, welcome. My name is David Schinkel. I'm the CEO and founder of Positive Traders. This is a weekly outlook that I do completely for free, no strings attached, every single Sunday. For you guys to be able to give you guys an outlook of what I believe is going to happen for the upcoming week and share some setups with you guys. Now, keep in mind, guys, big disclaimer is that this is just my opinion, okay? Do not take this as investment or financial advice. This is supposed to be used for educational, informational purposes only, and it's okay to be wrong, right? If you guys look at my track record, I don't win 100% of the trades. I don't win 90% or even 80% of the trades that I take. You can be profitable winning 50%, 60% of the time, and that's what I teach. And before we get started, just because I know a lot of you guys probably aren't going to watch through this whole, it's probably going to end up being about 30 minutes long by the time we get to the end of it. I'm going to show this in the very beginning now so I get as much value in here and all you guys get to see this, that this is the name of the game that I play with Forex, okay? I'm not about flipping accounts. If you guys are looking for somebody that's, going to give you this bang-on trade that you can, turn $1,000 to $10,000 on, you're in the wrong group, all right? Forex is supposed to be treated as a long-term investment. So I very quickly just want to show you what you can do with just a 5% month return consistently per month on a $3,000 account for the next 10 years. All right, check out that number, guys. That's $1 million, $1,046,735.96. Of course, keep in mind, this is hypothetical. And when I talk about 5% per month, I'm talking about what a yearly average, a 12-month period averages down to, which is 60% ROI, okay? That doesn't mean every single month is exactly 5%. We might have a break-even month where we make, little or nothing, and then we might have a month where we hit our goal of 3 to 5%. Or we might have a month, our best month of this year in 2018 was in July, and that was a 15% month. So we're gonna have our months that are above our expectations, meet our expectations, and below our expectations. The nice thing is we're never gonna have any like crazy huge losing months, and that's the way it should be with Forex. It's low long-term compounded growth, okay? So before we jump into things, I do want to look at the economic calendar for the week. There are a lot of high impact news on tap this week. Anything you see here with a red folder is high impact, all right? So it's regarded as supposed to be pretty volatile and move the markets. Now, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes going over every single thing in here, but a couple of things I do want to point out is on Friday. Now, for most of you guys, it's probably going to be Thursday evening. I'm out in a beautiful country of Thailand right now, and this is my time for where I'm at, so it actually comes out 2 in the morning here in Thailand. It's mostly going to be in the middle of the day for most of you guys if you're on the western part of the world, but it is the FOMC meeting minutes, and this meeting minutes is a follow-up to the conference. We can actually see if you were to click on this latest release right here, it's going to bring you to this screen right here, and it's going to pop up right here. So it's the meeting minutes from the meeting of November 7th to 8th. This is really going to give us a very clear expectation of exactly what they said and what we can probably expect to see on the last Fed meeting of the year, and it's going to be in the 3rd week of December, just before Christmas. The Fed has already raised interest rates 3 times this year. They're projected to raise interest rates 4 times, so this is supposed to be the 4th time they raise. But there's been a lot of controversy and disputes over: are they going to raise rates? Are they going to keep them the same? Are they not? And so this, of course, in turn creates sentiment on the U.S. dollar. And that's, what helps create some fundamental trading opportunities for us. So that is the 2 big things for the week, or that's the main big thing for the week. So let's get into the markets and let's see where we're at with everything. All right. If you guys were in my free Telegram, by the way, the link is in the description for my free Telegram. I gave out a trade on USD Swiss franc, which we're in some drawdown right now, which is okay. It's okay to be in drawdown. It's even okay if this trade hits our stop loss because we use good risk management, never more than 2% on a single trade. But I did a lot of cleaning up with my charts this weekend. I spent like 4 or 5 hours going over all my charts and really cleaning them up. So if you've been keeping along with my weekly outlooks, you're probably going to notice I've changed and moved it. Not really changed, but deleted a couple things and cleaned up a lot, especially on the dollar index. So let's look at the weekly chart on the dollar index, guys. All right. So last week we saw a strong bearish candle for the dollar. And I know at the beginning of last week, a lot of people were bearish on the dollar. I still remain bearish on the dollar, and I'm still expecting downside. Now, this past week, over the past 7 days since the last weekly outlook, we did see not a ton of movement, but we did see some upside on the dollar. Now, the big thing to keep in mind, the key level to be watching, guys, is this major inverted head and shoulders on the weekly, and you can actually see where this trend line also complements and adds confluence to this neckline. So this is a very key level to watch. I don't think we're going to break through this level anytime soon. I still believe the dollar is going to weaken. I saw in the comments here that someone said it looks like there's a head and shoulder on the dollar index, and there is like almost a little bit of a head and shoulder right here. You can see the left shoulder has already been completed. Here's the head, and then we may be getting potentially in the coming week getting a right shoulder, and I would really like to see that happen, but just keep in mind that we are making a series of higher highs and higher lows. We're kind of struggling to break lower right now. You can kind of throw this trend line on here just to get an idea of where price is at. But if and when we break this trend line and we stop making higher highs and we start to make lower lows and lower highs, then that's gonna be a sign that we're moving lower on the dollar. All right. With Euro USD, that being said, it's the exact opposite of the dollar index, right? So instead of there being an inverted head and shoulders on the weekly chart, there is just a normal head and shoulders. Here's the left shoulder, and this is the weekly chart. So this is very, very scaled out, guys. Okay. And there's the right here. That's the head, and then here's the right shoulder, and then we can see the neckline, which also is complemented by this trend line right here. But again, just like the opposite of the dollar index, the week before last, we saw a very strong bullish candle, exhaustion candle after a strong dip on Euro USD. However, last week kind of just gave those gains right back to the market. But we are not out of the clear, right? We still have yet to break this neckline, so there is still a lot of buying pressure on Euro USD. And I actually mentioned this inside of my Telegram if you guys were there giving updates. The whole thing is you guys have to keep in mind manipulation. When everybody sees this weekly candle and this strong bullish engulfing candle on Euro USD and this exhaustion candle right here just showing a lot of stopping of the sellers and the buyers taking control. At the beginning of last week, I'm sure most retail traders just blindly, throw in a trade on Euro USD because they're like, okay, it's going to go up, and I do believe it's going to go up, but is it going to come down first before it goes up? And we saw that was clearly answered last week, right? We definitely saw some more downside, but similarly to the dollar index, the opposite of the dollar index on the daily, we see a little bit of an inverted, what could be an inverted head and shoulders forming here. So as of right now, I'm on the sidelines. I have it marked off in blue, same with the dollar index, because these are pairs of interest, but I don't necessarily see entries at this point. Now, USD Swiss franc, I have this marked off in orange because like I said in the beginning of this, anything that's marked off in orange, I feel pretty confident about. And I do believe we're going to see downside with this pair. I actually called downside last week when we saw this strong exhaustion candle, rejection off of parity. Not just parity, but it's this blue level dates back all the way to 2008, where we can see a very, very strong, previously it was a demand level, now it's been a supply level, so it's been some pretty strong resistance. I don't think anytime soon we're going through this zone. Could we get stopped out before it drops? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. I gave a couple scenarios though that it may do this. So if you guys are in my Telegram channel, I actually posted a screenshot when I called this trade, and I gave two scenarios that either it was just going to drop right from here and we weren't going to get a correction, or we were going to get a little bit of a correction, which I think our stop loss is far enough out of the way that it shouldn't be affected by this correction too much, but I said we could get a correction and then move lower. So we are seeing the latter happen and that correction happen. So we're going to move on to that. Now we're going to skip on down to AUD USD. So this is one pair that I believe is giving one of the best opportunities in the market. You guys know, if you've been following, let me just drop it down to the 4 hour. You guys know that if you've been following me for a while and you've been following along with my outlooks or been in my Telegram group, I called Euro USD reversing all the way at the bottom down here. And it was because we saw a very nice Wyckoff pattern, or the Wyckoff method if you're familiar with that, where we saw strong accumulation of orders. We saw the spring, which stops out, well, not stops out, but it induces a lot of selling. And then on the up move, we see stopping out, and then also stops out buyers that bought in this area too early and had their stop loss just below the lows made in early October. Okay, so that's what we call the spring, and then we saw a little bit of a markup phase, and right now, and this is where we see high risk buys. Generally, according to the Wyckoff method, quote unquote, if you're trading it as a textbook scenario, you don't generally buy down by the spring or the first level of accumulation. You generally wait for the markup to happen, which is the push after the accumulation, which we see, and then you usually enter on the retest. So actually the best area to get in ideally would have been around the 71.21 level. We didn't get into this, haven't gotten into this yet. I am very, very interested in getting into this. I even put right here low risk buys. So right here is where price is accumulating, and this is where the low risk buys are happening. But just from also a scaled out perspective on AUD USD, and it's very important to keep in mind the scaled out view and the overall things and the overall picture is that we have broken a major downtrend since this is actually the high of this year. We can see January 26th was the highest point this pair has been this year. And then from January 26th to about November 1st, so just earlier this month, we were in a major downtrend, creating a multiple series of lower lows and lower highs. And now we are finally breaking out of that, and I believe the move from here is up. Same thing with NZD USD. We know that these both have a positive correlation. Now you'll notice that I do have it marked off in blue, so I don't think it's as great of an opportunity as AUD USD. But that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in trading it. I would just prefer for the highs to be broken, a little bit more of a complex setup on NZD USD, and then I would look to take a buy from the bottom of this range all the way to the top of this range. But for me personally, AUD USD looks much better. That's why I have it marked off in orange. USD CAD, guys, USD CAD is just waiting to break. All right, I'm telling you guys right now, let this be on the record, and I'll get to the chat in just a moment. I see that there's some questions in there, guys. I'll get to that in just a second. I'm telling you guys right now, let this be on the record that I don't know if this downtrend is going to break this week. It's a very, this uptrend. We're in a very, very strong uptrend since the bottom in October 2nd. And just to keep in mind, guys, let me just give myself a little pat on the back. And also for those of you guys that are maybe new here and want to see, what type of credibility do I have? Well, not only do I manage over 350 accounts, not only do I trade for a prop firm, not only do I manage my own six-figure account, but I also I feel like I'm very accurate. I post these setups on TradingView occasionally, and you'll see that this was posted on September 14th, and I said that down here was a buy zone, and we can see that since we got down to that buy zone, we've moved all the way up, and our original target was actually 134. I didn't actually put it in here in the description, but if you guys were following along, that was our original target levels. That's why we have it marked off at 134 all the way on this chart, because I don't have 134 marked on the chart right now. So did we make it top? Is this the highest USD CAD could go? Possibly. We need to remember the correlation to oil. Oil has been crazy, guys. Look at this. This is the weekly chart of oil, guys. Okay, in how many weeks is this? In 8 weeks, oil from the top has lost 35% value. Has gone from about $77 a barrel all the way down to $50 a barrel. That is huge, guys. So if you guys are wondering why USD CAD is spiked so hard, it's because the Canadian dollar has weakened. Not just the US dollar strength, but Canadian dollar weakness, CAD weakness, okay? Now, I do believe on oil, the $50 level is going to be a very psychological level of support for this commodity, and I don't know if we're going to break below 50, but I do have one thing to point out. If we do break lower and we get down into the $40 range with oil, or the mid-40s, well, there's this major level of support sitting here between about 42 and 44. All right. Now, most traders that buy oil around now, believing a bounce off of the $50 level, most traders are going to have, long-term targets much higher, or maybe even targeting, they're going to have something like this. Let me just give you an example on the charts. So let's say someone was to buy at $50 here. Most people are probably going to put their targets at the previous highs, and they're going to put their stop loss just below this liquidity zone. So what I'm trying to imply is that if we do see oil move lower and it does not bounce off the $50 area, we're probably going to see price break down to at least $40 a barrel, if not lower, to really knock out the buyers out of the market. Also to induce sellers, because a lot of people are going to see that when the support breaks, they're going to believe that price is going to go all the way down to the where it was the low of 2016, $26 a barrel. Could happen, but I think more likely we'll see manipulation at that point, and that's when we'll see some buys. Now, that's all hypothetical. We really need to watch oil and see what happens at the $50 a barrel range, because that is definitely going to influence USD CAD. But I have a good reason to believe that oil is going to stop around this $50 range. Okay, so if that does happen and we see it turn around here, then that means USD CAD is going to fall. Okay, but regardless, just from a technical standpoint on USD CAD, if and when this major uptrend breaks, we are going down hard on USD CAD. Okay, there's some really major downside to be seen on this pair, and I think that it's more likely to come sooner than later. Okay. Now let's get into some juicy stuff. Euro, I am quite bearish on Euro, guys. Now, Euro USD, I'm going to be very careful with. I already mentioned that I would like to see some upside, but I'm not married to my bias, guys. I am definitely not married to my bias, okay? Because the euro is very, very weak from a fundamental standpoint. I've talked about it on a couple previous webinars, but in short, the best way to explain it is if you guys remember the housing market crash of 07, 08 in the US, when basically, in short, there's always a lot more to it, guys, but the best way I can describe it to most of you guys is that banks were approving people for loans that couldn't afford it, right? Somebody that was supposed to be getting maybe a home loan for $150,000 was getting approved for a $350,000 house. So basically there was all this money being given out when they weren't supposed to, and it was this really, really shady business. And eventually what happens, right? If you can't afford a $350,000 house, but you're given the $350,000 house, well, you're gonna end up losing that $350,000 house. So it eventually caught up. It became the snowball effect. And not with the housing market. I just am trying to give you guys an example of kind of the behind the scenes, how corrupt things are behind the scenes, and the whole idea of being given more money than they can pay back. And that's what is happening in the Eurozone right now. There's a lot of countries that have received loans from the ECB, and they are not able to pay back those loans, and there is this snowball effect that is catching up, and it's, I think it's going to really determine the value of the euro over the coming months and coming years. So now, how does that position us for trades now? Well, I believe we're looking at some long-term trades. So all of these euro trades I am bearish on, and I am looking for some sells on, okay? But it's also not just from a fundamental standpoint. It's just nice that we have some fundamental backing with the technical analysis, because on this technical analysis, right? I mean, even if we just look at, let's take Euro NZD and we look at this on the weekly, we've broken a major uptrend as of just 3 weeks ago, okay? So I am looking for sells. I'm looking to move a little bit higher. Now I can see where there's definitely some manipulation going on Euro NZD. From a buyer's perspective, for swing traders' perspective. Sorry, I keep changing time frames, guys. We'll go back to the weekly. A lot of people bought right here where my cursor's at, around 171.50, expecting a bounce off of the 50 EMA, expecting a bounce off of this trend line, and they have targets much higher, right? They have targets maybe thousands of pips higher. We're talking like real, like long-term swing traders, okay? A lot of people are going to have their stop losses just below this zone right here, okay? So we can see that just in the past week or two, we've seen price break below this liquidity area, which of course stops out a lot of those buyers and I think catches a lot of sellers right now. But let's just be careful about selling Euro NZD. I am definitely expecting downside, but I would like to see a bit of a retracement first. The most ideal scenario would be waiting for a retracement back up to the 50% retracement level. I don't think we're going to get it that far though. I don't even know how much more upside we're going to see on this pair and a lot of euro cross pairs. But I am overall bearish, expecting major downside over the coming weeks and coming months. Just let that be on record. Euro JPY, I'm expecting downside on this pair as well. From a just scaled out, more technical perspective, you guys can see my price targets around 125. This is where I would expect some sort of bounce or reaction on price. It's a big ascending trend line, so it doesn't mean price will stop there. We're most likely actually going to break this area, but you can see where we previously made a double bottom on Euro JPY, and it was also a level of resistance back in May of last year. So this is a good confluent area where we can definitely expect to see price break, or price fall to, or price see support at, okay? Euro AUD, expecting downside on this pair as well. From a just scaled out perspective, very similar to Euro NZD, and it's because these two pairs, look at Euro AUD and Euro NZD, right? They have a very, very positive correlation to each other. So if we see downside on Euro NZD, we're going to see downside on Euro AUD or vice versa. And I really, really like Euro AUD, probably one of the most pairs that I like, kind of like AUD USD for a buy. If I was to mark off two of these pairs, I would probably say AUD USD and Euro AUD and also USD CAD. Out of everything that we're looking, and also we're going to look at USD Singapore dollar. So there's so many really good things. These probably look like the absolute best to be trading, at least from a long-term perspective. That is one thing. There's a lot of you guys on here right now, and I really want to make it abundantly clear that this is a weekly perspective. This is a long-term perspective, okay? I'm not talking about intraday trades. I'm not talking about intra-week trades right now on any of these pairs. This is a directional long-term bias. If you're looking for intraday bias or intraday analysis, well, that's in my group, guys. That's for my private students that I do a webinar every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of every single week, and go over intraday-based setups or a more scaled-in time perspective. So please keep that in mind, guys, okay? Because we could see, like, let's say we see the whole markets go against us for the start of this week, or even this entire week. But then over the coming weeks and coming months, we see price move in the direction we want, very consistently. So just something to keep in mind. But Euro AUD looks really nice, and the reason why is because I'm bullish on the Australian dollar, because we just talked about the Australian dollar versus the US dollar and how oversold the Australian dollar is right now, and how bearish I am on euro. So it's like a perfect storm to give us some really great trading opportunities. Not only that is, late last month and all through the month of September and October, we found a lot of resistance around this supply area for Euro AUD. So lots of confluence for some long-term downside, okay? Euro CAD, I am very, very bearish on Euro CAD as well, and that's because going back to also the correlation between Europe, where I'm bearish on the euro, and then I'm bullish on the Canadian dollar because I believe we'll see a bounce in oil somewhere around this point. I would be expecting sells. Not just that, but I really am a big fan of how this weekly candle closed on Euro CAD. So I'm looking to see kind of what happens at the beginning of this week. But I think we're going to see some really nice opportunities. Also, just to keep in mind with Euro AUD, same thing with Euro AUD is a lot of people that bought Euro AUD at these highs, they're going to have their stop loss just below this low right here in November, where we can see which broke at the end of last week or through the last couple hours of last week. So I did mark off this trend line on Euro AUD, but look for I don't know if it's going to go straight down right here. I think we could see one more pop up to stop out early sellers at this point and then move lower. But very nice opportunities to capitalize on, guys. EuroCAD also for downside. In EuroCAD, as far as targets go on the weekly time frame, pretty clear where we can expect price to move towards, right? I can even mark it off for those of, I'm sure all you guys can see that, right? Somewhere around this zone is where we should see EuroCAD move towards. Okay, and finally, USD Singapore dollar. I know we have not, I don't think really ever looked at this pair, at least recently. Maybe some of you guys have noticed that it's been on my charts because I've been watching it for a while now. But this pair, if we just watch, let's just remove everything for a second, right? And let's just kind of get a scaled out perspective. You can really see it starting to turn around. It's struggling quite a bit to move lower. So I have a couple trend lines here. I know for those of you guys that are not on my daily webinars and those of you guys that are not with me, working with me on a daily basis, some of these trend lines and stuff might not make sense to you, or the way or why I draw them might not make sense to you. But pretty much this, let me just mark it off with a little square here. Pretty much this zone is what I'm looking for, okay? I'm looking for some sort of reversal. Now, am I looking at selling right now? Probably not. I would like to see some sort of confirmation first. I would like to see us break this level first, but if we break this level, get some sort of nice retest or bearish continuation pattern, I personally am going to be expecting a lot of downside on USD Singapore dollar, and that's also very confluent with me expecting USD weakness. So there's a lot of confluence all around the charts, guys. Even just going back to USD CAD, right? I don't know why I'm just bringing this up randomly, but I meant to say this on USD CAD earlier, that USD CAD is making a series. It's still technically trending up, right? The last previous move that we had was price right here, November 22nd and November 23rd, right here, making a higher low, right? Making a higher low than the lows of November 16th, November 17th. Okay, so we are still trending up. We need to break the previous higher low for us to move lower. Okay, now there is this is one thing on USD CAD. There's this zone right here. Okay, So if we break through this zone, if we move back up and break through this zone, there's probably a very good chance that USD CAD is going to continue rallying, and that means that oil, that's probably because we're seeing oil move lower. But if we can see this level hold up, and we can see this support break, and especially our previous higher low break, then that would mean that this is our top back in November 21st, and then this would be a lower high. And then we would be making a lower low that's lower than this low, and then we would expect to make a lower high, and at that, most likely around that next lower high area, we would be looking to sell sell this new downtrend that we're in. Okay, so we have a lot of questions real quick. Hey David, is this going to be available for replay? Absolutely, Nicholas. Do you do any analysis on gold? Yeah, I do look at gold, but I'm not interested in gold right now. Tate, Sheldon says, shout out David. Yes, Sheldon, I'm not really sure which one in particular you're referring to, but there were a couple things. Nicholas, sorry, David, did one bug. Oh, yes, it will be recorded, Nick. Jake, why has oil dropped in value? So I'll give you complete honest. I'm not going to act like I'm an oil guru. I don't know to an exact reason why oil has dropped in value. I know that there's a lot of deals that are going on recently, a lot of controversy between US and Canada. If you're familiar with OPEC, OPEC is the committee that is responsible for basically, they're kind of like the Federal Reserve for the US dollar, right? OPEC is kind of like that. That's a good analogy to use for how oil is controlled and regulated. And OPEC has recently, in the past couple months, talked about cutting production, which should actually increase the value of oil, right? When they talk about there being less of it, it's like supply and demand. There's supposed to be less supply, that should create a higher demand for it. But at this point, dropping 35%, it's really hard to say the exact driver in the market of why. I'll definitely look into that though. Giovanni says that's lit. You on the big boys. Yeah, Giovanni. I like to focus with the higher time frames, guys, because ultimately at the end of the day, guys, like if you guys look at my life, where I've been this year, I've spent 6 months in Australia. I spent a month in Central America in Belize. And around there, other little countries around there. And right now I'm in Thailand. I've been in Thailand for a month, and I'm going to be here for another month. I hope you guys are following me on social media. For this past month, I've been in a city called Chiang Mai, which is, it's nothing too crazy. It's obviously awesome. What an amazing experience being here. I feel extremely blessed, but it's not like how most probably people think of Thailand. Like, I'm nowhere near the beach. I'm nowhere near the ocean. It's not nearly as tropical. It's very nice, but it's not like that. But I am going to in a little island called Koh Samui on December 8th. I'm going to be in Bangkok for a conference a week before that, but I will be going to an island called Koh Samui, and I have rented a private villa all to myself, and I have my own private pool, my own private villa all to me, just to myself. And so it's going to be a way to reward myself for working so hard and grinding out this course when I've been in Thailand and not really been able to do a whole lot out here. So I'm committed to your guys' success, and I'm really excited to see where you guys move in 2019. I want all of you guys to make 2019 the year that you want it to be. There's no reason why you shouldn't be progressing year after year after year. If you feel like you're in this vicious circle in your life where, you might do good for a little bit and get set back, and you might do good for a little bit and get set back, and you're in this vicious circle of always going in circles, well, you need to change something in your life. Your life is not going to change if you change. And so you need to, it's crazy. I even posted a Facebook status like yesterday, and it's crazy how quickly your life can change, guys. Like literally 4 years ago, I was sitting in a call center, guys. Like I was a supervisor at a call center, and before that I did door-to-door sales. And I didn't have really like any real plan with my life. I was making, but the nice thing is I had a vision. I knew where I wanted to be, and I stepped out of my comfort zone. Growth never happens inside of your comfort zone, guys. To grow and do the things that you want to do in your life that are different from where you're at now, you have to step out of your comfort zone. So, if you're watching this and you think Forex is super difficult, guys, it's like learning a language, okay? Forex is not super difficult. Like if any of you guys know, a second language, Well, like imagine like when you first started learning that language, it probably seemed really difficult, really overwhelming, very confusing. You probably asked yourself how you're ever able to gonna learn that language, and now you might be able to speak that language fluently, right? Or you can imagine imagine trying to learn a second language, right? It's possible if you really want to do it. You have to make that mindset shift inside of yourself. So, Andrew, do I make a living from trading? Absolutely, man. I obviously run a group. I run Positive Traders. I get a lot of hate on social media from people saying I make all my money off of, well, first off, I haven't had a course in 2.5 years. The course that I'm releasing on December 1st, I've been running Positive Traders since early 2016, and I've never had an educational course. I've only ever given out signals, and yes, I make a little bit of money from that, but you have to keep in mind that I have to pay 35% to taxes. I have employees and business people that I pay. I have advertising costs. I have lots of things that I get to pay. So my net gain off of charging people for signals and this and that, it's not a whole lot. The main amount of my money comes from managing accounts. I take a 35% profit share on people that are not lifetime members that use my trade copier. So if you are a lifetime member, you're able to use my trade copier with 0% profit share. And if you're not, you can use my profit share with a 35% profit share for life. So you can imagine, like, if we go back to that example at the very beginning, guys, remember that example that I showed you with $1 million after 10 years with $3,000? Well, if I do that for my clients, I get to keep 35% of that. So that's why I'm removing the lifetime membership, is because it's extremely undervalued. And then I trade for a prop firm as well. So I trade a very, very, very large account for a prop firm based out of London, and they let me keep a very large amount of the profits, actually 50% of the profits that I make their account. And that is where the big chunk, at least $20,000, $30,000 a month is from just trading that prop account and the profit share off of managing my own accounts. And then I have, of course, my own 6-figure account, which, depending on the month, I make anywhere from sometimes nothing on my own account, sometimes $5,000 on my account, sometimes $10,000 on my account. It just depends on the percentage of gain that I do for the month. So I'm able to leverage my skill set in multiple different ways, not just trading my own personal account. And that's where, I believe most people in Forex should strive to be, because I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, guys, but I don't sugarcoat things, and I'm very real. Like, you cannot make a living off of trading with a $5,000 account, with a $3,000 account. Even a $10,000 account is going to be very difficult. If you guys go on my website and you read my story on there, I didn't quit my job and go full-time trading until my account was almost $30,000, okay? Even when my account was at $7,000, guys, I still worked a full-time job. I was putting in overtime. I was putting in the money and taking the bonuses from my 9 to 5, and I was putting it into my own trading account, compounding it, growing it, and then I was able to leave my job once I looked at my overhead, looked at how much I needed to make a month, which at the time wasn't a lot. I only needed about $800 to live, between rent and everything that I had. I was living in a house with 3 other friends, all college age, and luckily one of my friends, his dad owned the house and charged us very, very little in rent, and my car was paid off because it was just a little crappy beater car, but still got me from point A to point B. And, so my overhead was very low. So, not everybody can also afford to, trade full-time with a $30,000 account. If you have a family and you have kids and you need, your overhead, you need $5,000 a month, well, you probably can't go full-time trading until your account is at least $100,000. So, Forex is this amazing long-term wealth-building vehicle, and it can be something that you make a living off of long term, but it takes time, guys. You really need to have a large account to be able to trade full time. And I'm just real with you guys. Like, I would rather have you hate me and stop following me and give up on Forex or whatever. Like, I really hope you don't give up on Forex just because I said that. If anything, it should motivate you more to work harder and compound and grow your account. It should inspire you, because, guys, I'm literally living proof. I didn't even graduate high school technically. I don't even have a high school diploma. I never got to walk because I failed geometry and chemistry when I was in high school, and I never cared, right? Things like chemistry, right? Like covalences and bonds and neutrons and all this. Like, I didn't see that ever having any real you know, and I didn't see myself ever needing to know those types of things. So I was like, why do I even need to learn it? Why do I even need to waste my time now? You know, and you know, everything in life I believe happens for a reason, guys. And you know, now I am here where I am, where I'm able to travel the world and have a lifestyle. I'm actually gonna put a hold on traveling over when I get back at the end of December. I'm gonna be moving back to Arizona. I'm gonna be moving to northern Arizona, or I guess not northern Arizona, but I'm gonna be moving to Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm going to be getting a penthouse out there and building a whole trading facility in my house, you know, with like a whole, like, you know, whatever, 4, 6, 8 screens, whatever I can do. And I'm going to take 2019 really seriously with trading. I've had over a year of being able to travel and trade full time, and it's been really beautiful. I've got to meet some crazy people, got to see some crazy culture, and it's really been this life-changing experience. And I hope all you guys can get to that point eventually, but yeah, I hope you guys. But awesome. Miller says, I live 30 minutes from Scottsdale. Yeah, if you guys are out in Arizona, I'm going to be probably be doing a mastermind beginning of the year at some point when I get out there. Do like a meetup with everybody. Just stay following me on social media. I'm very, very active on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the 2 things I use. I don't really use anything else as of right now, at least. So you have in all my links to follow me are in the description. Okay, guys. So other than that, guys, sorry I dragged this on a little bit. I really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you guys so much. You guys have the pairs that I'm interested in trading at. Keep in mind, lifetime membership is ending December 1st, but I do have a sale of $150 off for Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal going on. So shoot me a message on social media if you want to get involved with that. Other than that, guys, have a great and blessed week, and I will see you guys on the next weekly outlook. Unless you are a student, I will see you guys tomorrow on the daily webinar. Take care, guys.